In previous tutorials, I told you how we created all the programs and we are facing some exceptions. So I told you in that video how we can handle that exceptions with some part. So we use the multi-threading, and as I told you, how we can use multi-threading here to execute main process in small processes, or we can say sub processes. And which are these processes? Like I told you, there are different processing: connecting a client, connecting a message, handling that message. I am accepting some private messages also here, so that part. Then server date and time, server live thing, we can handle all these things throughout the multi-threading. And what is the multi-threading? Handling the multiple threads at a time. So what is the beautiful thing is here is I can connect many clients at the same time stamp, or we can say same time stamp, or for that purpose. So I achieved multi-threading by extending the thread class. I haven't create a runnable interface for that. So thread class includes the runnable interface also. So I went through that all these things, extending the thread classes. So let us see what is implementation, or we can see the deep implementation of this. So server side implementation I am taking. Application begins with the server computer running on the server code port at 5000, your port. I choose here 1500. You can choose 5000, any other port. For clients to talk with one another, they will have to run a client code for their systems. So assume that you are a 5 friends. What you can do, you can run only the client code, and you can deploy your server code on some server, or you can say there are many servers available on the internet, like Google Cloud servers are there, AWS servers, Heroku app server also supports this. So what you can do, instead of running server on your machine, you can deploy on a internet, that part, which can do what it will be doing. It will be running that server class live, or we can say 24/7. So you just need to run the client, you just add that in the interface, and I am considering here only command line interface. In next part I will tell you how you can create some GUI for that, simple GUI for that purpose. So what you can do, you can just run your client. So for the client purpose, then only need to run only client, no need to run server. So server and client both had the different codes. What is the thing between is it's connecting throughout the TCP connection to that server. That's it. Server code consists two classes, server class and client handler class. So I mentioned the name as different in that code, but what is the main thing is client handling. It's handling the client. Server class consists server socket, which waits for client to join. Whenever a new client joins, it creates the thread for that purpose, and you can use the run method to allocate that server part, broadcasting part, each and everything in a client handler class. So when thread begins its execution, it starts by waiting for clients to send message. As soon as client is connected our server and client is valid, the server waits for the client side message. When client sends the message is controlled by server and moves forward, and the thread center in the send message function, which is basically first thread is, what is thread doing? Accepting the message. Once message is arrived, now thread is moved to the send message part. When job is to forward the message from the client to another remaining clients from the socket vector, we can say, or we can say that socket part. So what will we do? That thread will convert it into object. And beautiful thing of why we use your array list, we can pass that object in the array list, and throughout that thread, TCP connection, or we can say TCP frame packet, will take that part and move forward, whole that object move forward to that message. So instead of using byte by byte code, what we can do, we can put that object inside frame, and object consists that message again, it's converted into byte code, but we don't need to convert in the byte code, we just need to put that object, and from the socket vector it will go to the another client. Let us see what is client side implementation. I'm considering here GUI also because I don't want to explain it again. So in GUI, I'm going to use Java Swing. So as soon as the client opens that Java Swing application, it's connected to the front end to back end. Back end is just basically all the similar part like client. whenever it's open, send message functions will execute, and another function in the background to wait server to send a message. Like if the server is sent successfully the message, then it will be handled. Then show message functions are there. Each message has server as prefixed by name by sender to increase message readability and everything. So it is a client side implementation only. So client, what is the client is doing? Client is handling a thread. First, client, once the client is added to that server, now the client thread is accepting message from user. So that thread is waiting. One message is that part is done, it will push to that server port and forwarding. Once this is done, the server will handle the pushing the message. Similarly, client is also waiting another thread for the another client message, what we can say client 2 message. So it will waiting for that purpose another thread. Once that message is arrived, it push to that part, what we can say front end part, and it will show that part. So waiting and showing the message. So this is the basic idea of this. In this also I mentioned some useful parts like who is in method, @ username set. So @ username, which is basically private method. If you put @ the name of that person or client, what you can do, you can publish it on that part, or we can say private message you can do. Then ngrok. Now the main thing is ngrok here. Why I'm using ngrok is, if you know, this is only what we can say my client machine, but I want to join my friend also. So this is my port, it is localhost and each and everything, but I want to create something which can be global, or we can say port forwarding system. So for that purpose, I need one port forwarding and my localhost copying thing. So development machine may be connected to secure network behind a firewall. To work around access restriction, ngrok runs small client process on your machine, which creates private connection tunnel to ngrok cloud service. What is doing is, ngrok is a cloud service basically. What it is doing, if I running server on my localhost, it will copy that part each and everything. Copying means the function is copying to the cloud. It will create another link with port and it will proceed in that purpose. So if you are having some that part, what you can do, you can share your that IP address, or you can say link URL server address with port to your friend to connect friend on any network. I'm not saying your local network. Consider there are two friends, one is John, another is Sam. John is sitting in New York, and considering Sam is sitting in San Francisco. John wants to send a message throughout this process, or we can say throughout this client thread. What he can do, he can create some server part each and everything. He can mention in the server part, this is my link throughout the ngrok, and and this is my port address to the Sam. Or what he can do, he can create a permanent link on ngrok. This is my port address and this is my link forever for this my client application function. So what he can do, he can create one client code like this. He can put the localhost there, that localhost change to that that IP address with ngrok. As you can see here in the client part, let me zoom this little bit. This part, what he can do, he can change this localhost with server address of ngrok and port number with that port number. And in a server implementation part also, he has to change everything here. Like I told you, in this part, this is localhost and port he has to change basically. So as I mentioned here, port number and each and everything are different, like this, and localhost he has to change basically. So once this is done, what he can do, he can send that message to the Sam, which is who is sitting in San Francisco. So this is the function of ngrok. Localhost development server is mapped to ngrok IO subdomain, which remote users can access. No need to expose your port, set up forwarding, make other network changes. So it is very simple. So I will show you how we can do this. So let me go this. Once you downloaded the ngrok from the ngrok website, that's for Windows is ngrok exe. I will go with that ngrok.exe. Now there are many services available on ngrok, TCP, HTTP, but we are going with TCP. And what I don't want to do, my port of the local host, as I told you, is 1500. Let me show you. In a server part, I mentioned no need to change that server part. I am again telling you, no need to change this server part. I mentioned my port address is 1500 in the main method. This is 1500. So what I can do, I can mention this 1500. Now ngrok will take time to run its web interface. So this is my web interface basically. So ngrok doesn't support the dynamic and each and everything URL. So what you can do is just press Ctrl Z. So it will take time to each and everything. So this is all about the ngrok, how we can do these things, and you can put your queries and each and everything here with ngrok, and ngrok creates this what you can say tunnel status and each and everything. So it will give you the tunnel status and you can put the link here. So this is all about how we can do this part, but always remember while creating a ngrok, the port should not be occupied, or you can say it's not running. You have to change it first and you have to change that part. So this is all about how we can do this. So now what I can do is I'm going with some let me go with some things which is I'm mentioning here, which is basically let me show ngrok. I will share this to you all, like ngrok TCP 1500. I will create this. Okay. So this is all about how you can do this thing. So this is my ngrok application. Let me clear this and let me zoom this. ngrok TCP 1100. So sometimes it is unavailable, but you have to keep trying. It gives you the proper part of that. ngrok exe TCP 1500. So it's showing me that these examples are not working because of all these things. So this is how you can do with okay. So now my localhost with TCP is running. As you can see, my localhost and each and everything is running here. So this is my port and this is my ngrok. So what I can do, I can copy this part first and add it to the chat system with client with this localhost, and it gives me the port also. So this is my port basically. So what I can do, so where is the port? I told you this is my port address, and before this is all things are my before this all things is server address, and this is the port. So let me add in the port this number. So don't close that ngrok part. Let me run the server first. So this is basically for the testing purpose, not considering here. But what you can do, you can put that server part in some online server port, each and everything. Now let me run the client also here. So you can say the connection is successful to this ngrok, and if I put who is in command each and everything, it will giving me all the things. Now what is the thing, server is running on my own machine, but client can be running on any other machine. Let me add one more client here. As I told you, this is client 2, and I'm mentioning his name is Sam. Sam is also connected to this. So let me add another client whose name is James. So there are three. Let me check who is in command. Now, as I told you, John, Sam, James are connected here. So from the James, what I want to do, I want to send message only John. So @John message is hello. So let us see John thing. John command prompt. He got the message. He received the message, but not this. As you can see, this is not joining. If I'm putting from Sam message, hello everyone, what you can say, it is broadcasted. You can see it is broadcasted. And from the server, you can say all the messages here also. Sam, then each and everything. But in a private thing, you cannot see each and everything. So this is all about how we can port forward the ngrok. And I run this part on the ngrok part also. So in further videos, I'm going to tell you how we can create a GUI, and I will tell you each and everything there. So let us see how we can do. And also just I close the ngrok. You can say server is closed connection, because I already done with that part. And now you can say client is also disconnected. This is also disconnected because I closed that ngrok port. So the service is stopped now. So this is all about how we can proceed with this. So in further videos, what I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you creation of GUI with Java Swing and how we can connect that TCP and each and everything. In that thing, I'm going with the simplest. I'm not adding that who is in method and some private methods also. So let's see in that part.